Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
How are
Good
you doing,
morning to
Peter?
you, sir. You kick it off.
Welcome back to Tasty Live. We've got Forex Focus for you this Monday morning. New week, new background here, and
It
we've got
looks
the double
great.
header with you. We've got the Forex Focus virtual
Yeah,
background.
I think I need to upgrade my background there. We need to see if we can snag and dupe that up because that's pretty sharp.
Oh,
So very good. Look at you in the office. See, I was a slug. I didn't make it in today. So
That's all right.
but
I'm heading out right after this, so you can come in and we can tag team this.
I would
Whatever you want.
imagine that. Yeah, the list will be light. But yeah. So how was the weekend? Good weekend.
It was good. What did I do? They opened up a new sauna place in the West Loop, and so I went with my girlfriend.
This is in the cold plunge place or
Yeah.
a sauna place?
It's they give you like an hour in a suite, and they have a sauna
Yeah.
and a cold plunge and a vitamin C shower, as you can tell from
Right.
my glowing skin.
I mean, yeah, you went from a 10 to an 11, which is hard to do. So
I thank
look
you,
at
but
you.
it was funny because girlfriend got it from some introductory offer, got it for free, but told them that she would
Nothing's free in the introductory offer.
yeah, that she would sign up, and then we leave, and they're like, "Oh, you're good to start your membership on Monday." She was like, "Oh yeah, we're traveling in April. Can we start in May?" I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
Oh my God! And so for your free day of cold plunging and sauna, what was the number going out the door then?
It looks like she pulled it off, and she'll just have to cancel this membership before it even starts.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, actually not
Now,
bad.
I mean, were you guys in your own room? Because my daughter lives in Westwood too, and she went to one. And I thought it was more open, where you wore a swimsuit. You wear a swimsuit here? No swimsuit.
You can dress down to your comfort level, but no, it's like a private suite, so you can lock the door. They have like a TV.
Oh, look at you, bougie man.
Yeah, no. If you actually had to pay for it, I would not be doing it. So it's
And
yeah. I think it's pretty pricey.
was there this red light sauna thing?
Yeah. So the actual box doesn't heat up that much, but your skin does. It's pretty freaky.
It's got like red lights that are supposed to be healing. It's the latest whatever.
Yeah, I think it's
Supposedly
just
healthy.
so you can stay in longer because it's not the actual
Right.
air that's really hot. Just the lights heat your skin.
And you don't feel like a rotisserie chicken in there.
Not as much, no.
Without the spindle.
No.
And
Yeah.
how the whole thing takes an hour?
Yeah, you're in there for an hour. It goes by pretty
And
quick.
what are the order you do? Cold, hot, and scrub, or
I did sauna 20 minutes, cold, back to the sauna, cold, shower.
sounds
Seemed to work
good.
out. Yeah.
How
But,
cold was the cold?
50 degrees, but if you're coming from the sauna, it was
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine it any colder.
yeah. So
yeah.
you spent like a minute in there.
3 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so now
And
I'm
was
trying to
it-
convince my banker roommate to get us a cold plunge. Be good for all of us.
Everybody's supposedly getting the red light saunas. You want the cold plunge. Can't you just fill up your bathtub and pour ice cubes in? Is it? I mean, you have a cold plunge.
We actually did a couple
on.
summers ago. We had
Yeah.
like an inflatable cold plunge where we just
You had a kiddie pool.
We did have a kiddie pool, and it takes a shocking amount of ice to actually make it cold. Turns out, and then yeah, you can't really leave the water. It was bad. We left the water in it. It got all moldy. That's gone.
That just
It
doesn't
looked
sound
like a
good.
little kiddie pool. So maybe something more industrial would look nicer on our patio, or I don't know.
Okay, now
We'll
if
see.
you had to pay for the freebie, what were they going to charge you?
Um,
Did you look?
it's like I think the membership is like 200 for 4 visits every month or something.
Oh.
So it's not like ridiculous. It's just not something I need at the moment.
So like $50 an hour.
Yeah, I think if you do it one by one, it's like 80. But if you get the membership, then
Okay.
it's like 50 or 60.
Can't see like going back and doing that every week as part of a routine. I don't know.
Yeah, they say people go like daily, which is insane. Why wouldn't you just buy one?
Did you feel good?
Oh yeah, I felt like I could run half a mile. Yeah, it was pretty good. Then we went to the Chicago Fire game. My girlfriend's cousin plays for the Chicago Fire, the MLS team here. And
Oh,
that
look
was
at you. And where are they playing now?
Soldier Field. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
They still play at Soldier Field?
Yeah, it was fun.
That was
but,
cold.
Yeah, but it was because it was Saturday and the day was very nice. But then the game was at 7 and it just like it was cold and windy. We were covered luckily, but it was.
You were, of course, I forgot. You were in a skybox, so.
Exactly. Yeah,
you had
so
the
we were all
people.
good.
Yeah, because we were weird Saturday when we were helping my son. He's moving. We were helping him pack. It was really nice. And Michelle and I went out for some lunch afterwards, and it went from like 65 to like 40 in like an hour. So.
Yeah, now it's cold again. So
Yeah.
can't keep that up.
Good for you. Good weekend. Look at you.
Yeah.
Active, healthy.
Now we're here. I'm logging in, and we've got off to a pretty crazy start here in currency markets. And I checked in on our gold. What's going on?
Yeah.
Was it all off the
mountain
open?
high enough.
Or
No, it was it opened a couple bucks higher, traded down a little bit, like very early. Remember, we had closed. Last week, end of the week, we breached 3,100 and kind of, I think the high was 3,124, traded down to 04, back to 14. But once it took out those recent new highs, 3,125, it was a march to 35.45 and a high of 31.60 roughly.
Jeez.
And we're just $11 off of that right now. So another full percent, $35 up move in gold. And really, you got to call it all one way. Yes, if you threw the dart perfectly, you got $3-4 pullbacks. But in a market that's moving $12 to $15 a day,
Scary.
It's hard finding the right $4 pullback. Structure-wise, higher highs, lower highs. So the pullbacks, even though we had a couple pullbacks, they never get to where a previous low was, even a recent previous low. So it's just a little bit of people taking things off the table. But it's month end. So equities out of the gate, opened lower. We had a way underwater close in U.S. equities on Friday, which meant that there was a lot of selling after the cash close into the futures. The futures close. They call it a term underwater, which means that cash and the futures are aligned. Right at 3 o'clock, the cash market stopped trading. Futures trade for another hour. Well, there was continued selling in the futures equity indexes. So, and they opened up lower again. So they basically kind of tested the metal of everybody who was buying what they thought was potentially kind of a cheap level. And it wiggled around. Again, expectations. If you're willing to take 10 or 12 points or 40 or 50 in NASDAQ, you can make something. But if you weren't, we're plumbing the lows again. We're down 1% in SPOO, 60 handles. Bonds on our tear to the upside, yields, same march one way, especially on the long end, notes and bonds. So as you would expect, notes and bonds higher. What do you think of in our world is lower?
You'd look right to the dollar yen.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that actually was where you go, and we'll go kind of circle through them all briefly, but if you went to euro, you went to, we're seeing kind of a bifurcated story. Euro and sterling gave back some ground, and they're kind of bouncing back now.
Yeah.
Aussie, Kiwi, and Canada are just unloved at this point. But the yen looked exactly like the reciprocal of the bond market last night. The yen opened higher after railing late Friday. This is a dollar yen selling off, and it just continued to kind of get hit. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, Glenn, as we start.
Yeah, I mean, here looking at that hourly chart, it's this correlation's been going on for quite a while now. Do you see any reason for it to stop, or or is this a long time for these two assets to kind of be lined up pretty similarly, or could this
No,
go on for?
I think you'll see this as a recurring theme. And remember, let's just pop out to daily or weekly. Tighten it up a little bit. And yeah, let's even go to weekly just to get some scope. So when you ask, have we had a big pullback from 160? Absolutely. We're back under 150. But when you look at, potential, if we're going to see U.S. rates higher, uncertainty in the U.S. economy playing through equities, yeah, I think the recurring theme will be that rallies in dollar yen get met with selling, and we see that same type of tape action I talked about in gold. New lows. And when I say new lows would be taking us down to 78. So we're not going to 78, but new lows within structure, and an inability to recover to what had been previous resistance becomes support becomes resistance. So we trade lower, we plumb lower, market comes back a little bit, never quite that much, and then releases again. Yeah, I don't see anything dramatically changing that right now. And I think we also have, so it's March 31st, we have month end.
Yep.
And again, we can see kind of odd and violent FX flows, especially between 10 and 11 o'clock.
Okay.
The market kind of plays a little bit of a game of chicken right now. Kind of runs one way, then it'll run another. And if you take a look at cable, we were down to 129.70 this morning, 129.20 this morning. And yeah, let's go back down to sure. So rolled over all night pretty much from, again, 129.70 down to 129.20, and we've marched back most of that way. So what are the quote unquote end of month flows? I have no clue. It is a bit of a game of chicken, waiting to see as we get close to that time frame if they're actually, and these month-end flows I always refer to are there certain longer-term funds that within their fund documentation, they stipulate when they rebalance. And it's like index funds. There's a specified window, and they're bound by the agreement to do it. And a lot of them do month-end rebalancing. So
and that
does it always take place? Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
And so that you said 10 to 11, that's just common because London's waiting as long as they can, or still want to see what?
And that's what it's tied to, Glenn. You're spot on. And 10 to 11, it's like, what does that matter to me in Chicago? Why is it 10 o'clock? Is that early brunch, monthly cleanup? No, it's the end of the day in London, their end of day. Again, everybody needs to pick a time. You see some of these rebalances go through, like in the gold markets, it's 12 gold future. It's at 12:30 in the afternoon. You think, why? Market trades to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The old pit trade closed at 12:30. Now their funds have been around for 20, 30 years. They don't want to repay per customers, so they stick to the same. They have to. They're in violation of their responsibilities if they don't follow the methodology. For whatever it is, it's something I keep an eye on. So it'll be interesting to see if we see a push of flows going into, usually it's 3 waves, 10, 10:30, and 11. Whether or not we see that or not, we'll see. You can argue you're seeing a little bit play through in Aussie and Kiwi right now with them getting hit a little bit. Whether or not we see the continued selling come through, I'm not sure. I will be a little bit more mindful around because we've seen euro and sterling pounds. It's like, why isn't Aussie, Canada, and New Zealand? And I know we got tariff day Wednesday, whatever that means.
I don't think he's calling it tariff day.
No, I'm not going to say the word though. I'm not getting sucked into it. L day.
What do you make of? Just curious. What do you make of when you see a move in Australian dollar, U.S. dollar start to tank right on that London Open?
Right.
What's the storyline there? That's just what do we kind of chalk that up to? It's not a data release in either region. We just see London buyers of dollar against the Australian dollar here.
against the commodity currencies. Yeah, against
Okay.
things that, again, you could selectively pick. Copper's down a fair amount. We printed multi-decade highs at 535 in copper. It's challenging $5 right now. It's not I mean, some metals are up, some are down. Gold's at lifetime highs. Copper's a month off or 3 weeks off its lifetime or multi-decade highs. I think it's more a little bit of, we're seeing equities get hit, a lot of uncertainty. I think things like that typically have higher beta, like Aussie and Kiwi, will take a little bit more punishment. Canada along with that too. And that's what we're seeing play through. And will there be some month-end rebalancing? Is this positioning ahead of it? I have no idea. You could imply that, but I've seen it also do this before where it'll trade down and then all of a sudden at 9:45 there's a huge bid that comes in and the market's run. Am I expecting that? Don't know. You're never going to get ahead of this. It's just something to, again, we talk about tools. It's something you tuck away. Now, if you talk to Tom and you say you're a complete idiot, that doesn't mean anything. Everybody trade, and again, for him, triple witching is a big thing in terms of probabilities, the way the market moves. For me, less so. Everybody picks a different spot. You would think if you looked at the piles of cash, you'd trust Tom. He's got a far bigger one than anyone I know. But I
don't think we can chalk all that up to triple witching.
No, absolutely not. But I think the disconnected nature of sterling and cable trying the lows and bouncing back while Aussie, Canada, Kiwi getting no reprieve. Yen is doing yen's thing.
What about this Swiss franc? Do we trust that?
And that's a great question.
Because
you would think if it's flight to quality, and I think that term has been so beaten up. Why don't we see the Swiss holding on to? Because they tried a lower dollar Swiss last night.
Yeah, but I mean here it's looking pretty similar to the British pound and European currencies.
Yes.
So now I guess less flight to quality, more moving with those European currencies. Just want to call out what
I don't think I know what flight to quality is anymore, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Maybe it's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So we've got some German inflation in 9 minutes. Germany now a hot topic with all of their defense spending and if they'll be able to pay for it, and their bond market as well. Pretty interesting storylines there, but since that initial move, I haven't seen a ton of reliance on that in the euro dollar, but still definitely one to watch for. And Germany inflation can be a leading. I think they released before euro area stuff, so that's why there could be some added weight to this German number. But in terms,
I think if you said 6 months ago, German inflation is coming out collectively, everyone would get, who cares? But I think again, it'll be interesting to see. We've got 9 minutes to go, but I bet you we'll get 20 pips on either side of euro right now, 108, 28 or 30. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Then we got the PMIs coming out, and we do have an Australia rate announcement Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
So there's definitely stuff and we're rolling into a new month. So we'll have the unemployment numbers for Canada and the U.S. Friday, but I think there's a lot to. It's funny. You sense everyone's thinking, okay, maybe the equities have turned. There'll be one good bounce that'll let me sell into it. And the markets don't be, and it's funny, whenever you start to hear that a lot, it's like, I'm turning bearish on this. They don't give you an opportunity. I think we'll see U.S. equities give you one rally sometime during this week, but for the dollar, it's going to be an interesting bag getting through month end to see if we actually, sometimes we go through this whole hours and nothing moves. And it's just, people were relatively balanced. There was nothing to do. Other times we'll see it play through a little bit. So I'm going to be mindful of that, kind of keeping an eye on the yen and yields. I think that's an interesting play. And I got to think for cable, we get through 130. I'd be interested to see this has been such a wall for us right up there. Just this constant, 4 or 5 times we touch and fail, touch and fail.
Yep,
if we actually get up there and spend a little bit of time, it'll be interesting to see what that does. And has that level changed a little bit?
Yeah, just looking when we talk about month end, I know it's a tough exercise to try and call it or try and get an opinion on which way things will happen. But is it a useful exercise to look at what's happened in the month? Like, say, looking at this pound dollar, where we started March, we are significantly higher. Is that an indicator that perhaps people will have to step into it as opposed to an unchanged market? Or
it's a great question, and this is where it gets tough trying to figure out, because the argument is pound's worth more. So one school of thought says that if they're rebalancing, they're going to take some of that pound exposure off because the pounds they have are a greater percentage of their portfolio now because they're worth more.
Sure.
So there's actually pound selling. Or you go the other school is people who didn't have pounds in need to get that allocation in because the market's moved. I don't know which one plays through. We did studies on this a couple of years ago and couldn't get a clear read as to if you're at the upper 10th percentile of the monthly range, are there natural buyers or sellers during this exercise? And it was really wrapped around 50-50.
Right, because it's just kind of in aggregate, how are people, more people positioned this month, and you can't really know. Interesting. Well, yeah, that'll be 10 to 11 Central Time. We're looking around there. We've got some data releases out of the Euro area right here in about 5 minutes, and an Australian interest rate decision late tonight. So that could be something maybe to put on beforehand or wake up and see the damage.
There you go. And I think unchanged rates at 415.
Right.
So I think there's bigger things at work here than rates right now in the Aussie camp. So I think we're going to get an interesting couple of days because they're definitely testing the resolve, and we're getting down to levels that are, the low end of the range.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tapping in this morning with me, Peter. A lot of things to look forward to, and a lot to look forward to on the network. We've got Tony back in a big way. So stay tuned, 5 minutes for Tom, Tony, and Vanetta on Tasty Live. Thanks, guys.
Forbes called us best online for options trading. Investopedia, best for options trading, period. With stockbrokers.com, we're number 1 for options and futures trading. The Motley Fool really likes us. And so does Business Insider. So what else can we say other than